won winners, and I've always been partial to a nice colt, and REDOUTE'S was the king of all those horses, both on the racetrack and as a type, and the others have been very nice horses too, particularly Dash for Cash and Clay Hero.
He was obviously a champion racehorse and obviously one of the world's great sires.
Wonderful fighting performance from REDOUTE'S Choice.
An impressive race record coupled with an exquisite pedigree was always going to make REDOUTE'S hot property when the studs came knocking. During that last campaign, Arrowfield Supremo John Massara had been looking for the perfect son of Danehill to take centre stage on his stallion roster. Massara was of course partly responsible for REDOUTE'S Choice's father, Danehill, being originally shuttled to Australia, and was already nurturing the stallion careers of two of Danehill's best sons at stud in Flying Spur and Dan Zero.
We sold the Danehill nomination to Mr Yassine, the owner, from which REDOUTE'S Choice was conceived, and funnily enough we were also the underbidder on REDOUTE'S Choice's Dan, Santhus Choice, when she came up as a yearling. So I feel there's some destiny in all this, and I pushed that point very strongly with Mr Yassine when I came to buy REDOUTE'S Choice, or a piece of REDOUTE'S Choice from him.
And was there something about him, tell us about that time when you were negotiating on REDOUTE'S Choice? He'd been a standout of his era for his age. Can you tell us exactly what drew you to him, apart from that obvious connection to knowing Shantha's Choice and selling the nomination to Danehill?
Oh, well, he's a horse that ticked all the boxes. He was by Danehill, who I felt was a breed shaper. We bought him in the first place because we thought that was the case, and of course since then he's proved to be so. He was out of a wonderfully bred mare from a family that had already produced a couple of stakes winners, a couple of sires, and a very good taproot, and he was a great individual himself, but it all was capped off when he won the Blue Diamond at his second start ever, which I think is a feat in itself, and a week after his first start, moreover. And then of course that wonderful tussle with Testarossa where REDOUTE'S Choice prevailed in the Caulfield Guineas. That was enough to make me quickly approach Mr Yassine and sit down and see if we could strike a deal.
Tell us how you go about that, because you mentioned that there was competition. Have you just got to be that little bit better than the rest of the competition, or does the pocket have to just get a little deeper?
I think it's a bit of both. I think Mr Yassine had a very fixed idea as to what he thought the horse was worth, and after bandying around figures below that number, I finally sat back and thought, well, this is the horse I really want, and if it costs 10 instead of 8, then if it's the animal I want, I should pay that premium. And I did meet his price, and the conditions were worked out as being reasonable between us, and away we went for the horse to stand at Arrowfield, and at that point we owned half of him.
And at that point, you're probably in a cold sweat thinking, I've got to sell some nominations to this horse, we've got to make him work. Not only sell nominations, but make sure he gets every possibility to be a stallion with some longevity. How do you create that aura and find that balance between just getting any old mare to him and making sure that the book's balanced?
Oh, well, we've always had quality control as part of one of our policies here at Arrowfield on the stallion side. That's why we quite often don't serve the biggest books. We're about providing long-term sustainable success for our stallions, and that can mean knocking back some mares from time to time, and that's what we've done along the way. To our regret, we'd love to have the money, but that's the way we operate. It was not difficult to launch this horse because everyone had seen his performances, and the rest is history. It didn't take him long to assert himself. When I bought REDOUTE'S Choice, people said, this bloke's already got Dan Zero and Flying Spur. What's he want for the third son of Danehill? And at the time I answered, you can't have too much of a good thing. And of course, had I taken the view that I already had enough of this blood at Arrowfield and not bought REDOUTE'S Choice, my life would have been entirely different to what it is today.
Lotteria has kicked right away as they top the rise.
8 horses from Redout's first crop went on to win stakes races. His first Group 1 winner also came from that crop when brilliant filly Lateria annihilated a Flight Stakes field.
Lotteria is making a mess of them in the Flight Stakes. She's 5-6 lengths in front and she races on to score.
That was great. And even though some of those came as 3-year-olds, those 2-year-olds. And the subsequent years thereafter have been outstanding, with multiple Group 1 winners in a single season, Slipper winners, Derby winners, Oaks winners, Flight Stakes winners. He's done the lot.
That was the start of an incredible run. His second crop of 2-year-olds were lethal, completing a clean sweep of the nation's 3 biggest juvenile events. First, Bradbury's Luck in the Magic Millions. Then undoubtedly in the Blue Diamond.
Undoubtedly and perfectly ready. Undoubtedly getting to the lead at the 100 from Seed Nazar. Perfectly ready, can't go on. Undoubtedly is racing away from them and undoubtedly won it easily.
And finally, Stratum powered away with the Golden Slipper.
Around the turn and Stratum booted away. He goes for home on Stratum, Lenny Beasley, 2 lengths on opportunity. Then Fashions of Field starting to run on, followed in behind them next by Written Tycoon at Stratum in front at the 200. Fashions of Field is next and then Media running on, but Stratum in front with 100 to go. It's holding the lead safely at bay and it's Stratum and Lenny Beasley for the Golden Slipper.
It was a stunning crop. This was the year where we got Quinellas in Group 1 races and in other stakes races. We got slipper winners and diamond winners and all sorts of things.
Well, just to refresh your memory, Stratum won the Golden Slipper, undoubtedly the Blue Diamond, Bradbury's Luck the Magic Millions, and Fashions of Field won the AJC Size Produce. 2-year-old races them all.
Incredibly dominant, isn't it? And it's those sort of stats that fire up the imagination and that set a horse up to become a sire maker himself. That capacity to throw elite athletes. A lot of horses get winners, and a lot of horses get a good horse or 2 good horses, but very few get the velocity of good horse, of high quality horses that he does. And that's the index I look at when looking at stallions, and on that basis Redout's Choice has an 11% stakes winners to runners ratio, which far outweighs any other stallions here at this time.
Not only that, he gets a lot of place getters in stakes races on top of that. In fact, I think it's 1 in 5 go on and become stakes performers.
Yeah, 19.5% of his horses that run are black type performers. 57 stakes winners, 16 Group 1 winners, 3% Group 1 winners to runners. Some horses get 3% stakes winners to runners. This bloke gets 3% Group 1 winners to runners. These are enormous stats, and he's still a young horse, and his biggest and best books are still to come.
I'm sure you had great expectations for him, but did he exceed those expectations in that year and give you those things?
Beyond doubt. It's a great privilege to be associated with a horse like that. In a breeder's life, he might come once. And to think that he stood, we had a big stake in him and he stood our own farm and we were there from the beginning is something that's an extraordinary thrill. But with it comes responsibility, because he becomes really the property of the Australian industry then. And he's been a great ambassador for Australian breeding and racing internationally. People all around the world know about Redout's Choice now. But you're right, in those days, we had to pinch ourselves when all those 2-year-old stakes winners were popping up and Quinellas in those races. It was just unreal. Since then, he's done marvellously well. But the expectations are so high that people don't know how well he's done. They expect so much from him.
One of the defining characteristics of Redout's as a sire is the array of different types he's capable of producing.
After his second year and all those very good precocious 2-year-olds, the Sydney press took to saying that he was unable to throw a stayer or a classic horse. And of course, what he's done since is phenomenal in that area. The Flight Stakes winners, the Guineas winners, the Oaks winners and the Derby winners. Absolutely phenomenal. And, put the lie to the claims that were being made in the Sydney press as this was purely a getter of 2-year-olds. So good was his 2-year-old season that they took to saying that. Of course, now those criticisms have abated.
Line is good. Off they go this time. They jumped in a very good line too.
On top of this, some of his progeny have produced some truly unbelievable performances on the track. Take the win of God's Own in the 2005 Caulfield Guineas, which has to be seen to be believed.
Well, we got knocked down Primus, so did God's Own. Paternity came back into their lap. Plenty of trouble in the early point, and God's Own went back to last. He was knocked out of the race. Over the top of the hill, Gonski took it up. A length in front now from Paratroopers, 2.5. Red Dazzler straight on the fence. 3 lengths further back, then Perfectly Ready outside Silent Echo. 2 Apache Cat from Paternity, further back than Primus. Then came over on the inside, Testifiable from Danger Looms, and God's Own knocked down early last of all. At the 800 metre mark of the Guineas, and the leader Gonski, a length in front. Paratroopers second, Stratum third, a length off, a length further back, Red Dazzler. 4 lengths further back, 5th is Perfectly Ready. Apache Cat has gone the move around the outside, followed by Paternity. Silent Echo the fence, and further back of the race, God's Own. Then came Primus, followed by Danger Looms, and last of all, Testifiable. Gonski up to the turn, a half length in front on the outside, Paratroopers. Red Dazzler went up third. Stratum behind those. Apache Cat, the widest runner around, Perfectly Ready. When they turn for home, it's been nice and rough. When they turn, God's Own got flattened again. Into the straight, Gonski in front. Paratroopers coming at it quickly. Paratroopers has ranged up and hit the front now. Getting out of Stratum, battling on Gonski, then Perfectly Ready. Paratroopers going for home, and the Guineas draws a length in front. Is holding Gonski. God's Own getting out when it's all over. Is flying. Paratroopers in front. God's Own flying to it on the outside. He got up. A remarkable performance. God's Own has won the Guineas. I've never seen anything like it.
Miss Finland has taken the lead in the Golden Slipper.
Miss Finland's Golden Slipper victory was one of the most comprehensive wins in slipper history, smashing the nation's best 2-year-olds.
But the Bleakers have done the trick with Miss Finland. She bolts it in.
Miss Finland, I gave us an enormous thrill. She was owned with 2 of my closest friends, Alan Jones, the broadcaster, and Johnny Lever, who, like me, was a stockbroker, and for about the same period as me was a stockbroker too. We go back a long way. And for the 3 of us to own that mare, being such close friends, and for her to go from where she started to where she ended, was wonderful. We just had wonderful times and a lot of highs. And, you know, I just hope we can do it again. But they're hard. Those moments must be savoured because they're hard to come by.
Out wider then Samantha Miss. Bowman's got her into the clear. She's about 5 lengths off the leader. She's poised for her run.
And here is the most recent champion on the track, Samantha Miss, winning the VRC Oaks in dominant fashion.
Running on, and Miss now on the outside. Samantha Miss is starting to hit her straps, and she's joined in quickly at the 300 metres now. And Samantha Miss dashed to the lead, drew a length and a half in front of Miss Scarlatti, Rocher and Glowlamp. But it's Samantha Miss, the Sydney Princess, well clear, racing away from them. The favourite has it in the bag, and Samantha Miss scored on the Oaks by 3 lengths to Miss Scarlatti.
That's what racehorse owners want. They want the chance to buy a champion, and I think this horse can give them the chance, you know, he really can. They're doing no more than he did himself as a racehorse, as I said earlier. To have done what he did as a 2-year-old and then to come out at 3 and won at weight for age and won the Caulfield Guineas in extraordinary circumstances where he appeared beaten 200 from home and then ground forward and just down to Testarossa, who himself was an outstanding racehorse. That was a chilling performance, you know. Sort of the hair on the back of your head went up.
Yeah.
It was something very special. So he's passed that capacity on to his produce, there's no doubt.
Up next on This Racing Life, John takes us through some of Redoute's Choice's daily routine as one of the nation's foremost stallions.
During that period, he more often than not serves 3 mares a day.
Well, John, we're here at the day yards with the stallions, and there's royalty everywhere. We've got Redoute's Choice off to our left, and to the right, not a single doubt, in the new star, Snitzel. It's quite a privilege to be here and be up close and personal with these horses. But tell us a little bit about the personality of Redoute's Choice, your star of the stable, I suppose.
Well, he's a terribly Australian horse, very laid back and laconic. I suppose the naughtiest thing he does is pull his tongue out to be squeezed. That's some little idiosyncrasy he's got. Other than that, he's a very relaxed, easygoing horse, and that sort of temperament comes through in his stock, and that's part of their strength. They don't use up all their energy before the race is run, and they hold that energy for the terminal part of the race. So that's been a great advantage for his progeny.
What about his daily routine? Has he got a certain routine? I know your staff would like to keep him in some sort of routine because horses by nature are that way.
Well, there are two parts of the year. There are the parts of the year where he's serving mares, covering mares, and there are parts of the year where he has nothing much to do during the year, and that's most of the year. As you know, the breeding season is from September to December, and during that period, he more often than not serves 3 mares a day, and that starts at 5:30 in the morning. He's awoken from his sleep and taken to serve a mare, prepared to serve a mare. He then has the rest of the morning out in his paddock, then goes on and serves another mare at about 11:30, 12 o'clock. And it might by that stage be quite hot, so he might spend the afternoon in his box.
Yeah.
And he's got, as you've seen, a big box and comfortable box, air conditioned, and then he'll serve a mare in the evening about 4:30, 5 o'clock. Depending on the weather, he'll spend the rest of the night outside, or if it's inclement weather, he'll be in his box for the evening. So that's the kind of routine. In the off-season, we put him on the walker for 20 minutes to half an hour a day. He gets exercised. The rest of the time he's in his paddock enjoying himself, other than again in very bad weather.
And as we've seen, he's a lover in the shed. He's good to his mares. He looks after them, and he's doing the job.
Yes, he's active in the shed. He's never been a problem that way, and he loves his job.
Yeah.
So,
well, who wouldn't? And he's got some mates now that are his sons that live across the road here and over to my right. Not a Single Doubt and Snitzel, Not a Single Doubt, produced the most individual winners in his first season crop last season, and Snitzel well on the way to being champion first season stallion.
Well, that's very gratifying for the big boy to be doing that, because that's what you hope. You hope that he might be the beginning of a dynasty. He might be a sire maker. That's the ultimate dream for any farm. And of course, he's the son of Dane Hill, who himself is a great sire maker. And so it looks like the dynasty is continuing. It's early days, but it looks very promising.
His barn is, I dare not use the word stable, that would be doing it in injustice. His yard is quite extraordinary. Can you tell us what took place over there? Because I'm led to believe it was a covering shed once upon a time.
It was a covering shed, but REDOUTE'S choice, as you might expect, is an alpha male, very dominant, even amongst his partners in the stallion barn, and used to lash out in disgust as partners, as other stallions walked past.
Lesser stallions, he might have thought.
Absolutely. And we thought he might injure himself, and we wanted to have him in that complex somewhere, but separate from the others, and so we decided to convert our second breeding shed into his barn, his own barn, his own box, and it is in box terms rather majestic. It's very large, it's air conditioned, he's got rubber lining everywhere to make sure that he doesn't hurt himself. I must say he's very happy there now, and he's the king here, and he deserves that position.
Because he has, it would be fair to say, and not understating things to say, he has helped you build a lot of what we've seen here today at Arrowfield, 2,500 acres of pristine, beautiful breeding land that you couldn't imagine could get any better.
Absolutely, he's certainly been a big contributor to that. I always say the stallion maketh the farm. We've been lucky to have a string of good ones. I don't want to underestimate the contribution of horses such as Hassanay and Flying Spur and Danzira and others we've been lucky enough to have, but REDOUTE'S choice in terms of sheer financial contribution has been a wonderful thing for us, and we're cognizant of that.
Do the staff, do you get a great deal of joy out of seeing the staff have a bond with REDOUTE'S choice as well, particularly those in the stallion barn?
Absolutely. His handler has a very close relationship with the horse, knows the horse backwards, can tell you when the horse is a hair out of place or not right in one way or another. Of course, the horse is closely monitored. His temperature is taken twice a day. He's handled a lot. But they do take pride in the stallion. They like working around champion horses. and it's a thrill to horsemen in the thoroughbred industry to be associated with a horse like Redoutes. And frankly, you couldn't make it, you couldn't run the operation without those style of people.
Yeah.
They're very committed to him and to the farm, and I do get enjoyment out of seeing just the bond they have with these horses and how careful they are with them and how caring they are with them.
Samantha Miss, 1.5 million she cost at the sales.
Of course, one of the main gauges of a stallion's commercial success is his results in the sales ring. In Redoutes's case, his yearlings have sold for some staggering amounts in recent years, and even with the downturn in the market, he continues to produce fantastic results for Arrowfield and for vendors.
And it's a good one here for Redoutes's Choice too, siring a Group 1 winner.
Samantha Miss is a case in point. I tried to buy her along with everybody else at the Easter sale that year, and she sold for $1.5 million, which at the time was regarded as a very high price. She subsequently became the best filly in the country and sold for a greater price than that as a broodmare. And then you've got the Muskets, who was an most expensive horse yearling up to that moment, and at the time bought by the Ingham brothers, and who's come out and become a very strong stakes winner. There are a number of those expensive horses that have gone on and done the job. So it's been very rewarding to see that happen.
But Stratum, he ran first, he got the prize.
I think it's inhibiting his results.
I hope you're enjoying the
His
footage.
results.
Magnificent, isn't it?
Generally, about 70%
Magnificent
of his colts
magnificent
don't
horse.
get gilded compared to some of his competitors who
You're very sorry,
where
miss.
70% of their colts do get gilded. Under our training regimes and our racing culture here, trainers seem to get a much better result with geldings, and this fellow's not getting many gilded because people are hoping for a stallion.
And you can't blame them, but nonetheless it